start out with none other than Donkey Kong Country 2. I own the entire trilogy for SNES, but the thing is that I only played the first one when I was a kid. I played it when I was around, like, I don't know, 10, 11, something like that. Played the piss out of it, okay? I mean, not just a little bit. I played the fucking shit out of Donkey Kong Country. And I didn't even know they came out with the 2 and 3, man. I was too busy playing the fucking first one, being absolutely amazed. But yep, Donkey Kong Country 2. I picked this one up for about $20. I believe this was an eBay score. I did not get this from one of my local spots, which kind of breaks my heart a little bit. I try to buy local where I can. But, okay, you want to talk about any franchise that will separate the Twitters and the internets fucking across the board? It's going to be Final Fantasy, okay? People got their opinions on which one's best, when it started sucking, when it started getting great, etc., etc. But the one thing that I find in common is that a lot of people hate this one. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. I'm going to tell you about Final Fantasy Mystic Quest. My brother and I got a copy when my stepmom was working in the pawn shop, everything else, and she brought it home. We put it in. The first thing that caught my eye was the intro screen and the music. Absolutely amazing music. And then I played it, and I didn't classify the graphics or the music or anything, and the battle system as like babyfied or anything like that, because my only experience with RPGs up to that point was like, I don't know, I think I played the first Final Fantasy a little bit. I think I was at a buddy's house, so I didn't really have a standard set just yet, but this is one of the very first RPGs that I ever played. And it's got a special place in my heart. It's got amazing music. Even folks who absolutely hate the gameplay and everything will tell you that the music in this game is fucking awesome. So you can still pick up a copy of Mystic Quest, probably about $15. I would recommend getting out there as soon as you can because the price is going up. Alright, now I finally got a hold of this game. I did not own it for the longest time, but I finally got a hold of it. Starfox. Now, Starfox was another game that got brought home from the pawn shop, and this is not the original copy. This is one that I got at one of my local spots. I think I got it like $5. This was almost a joke, according to what I've been hearing. You know, it was like a test for the Super FX chip back when it was in development, and then they decided, fuck it, we'll just turn it into a whole game. But yeah, turned into a successful franchise. Still got to check out the Wii U version of Star Fox coming out. I believe it's out already. I haven't played it yet, but yeah, this one right here, fucking awesome game. Excellent music. Okay, here's the third part of that trilogy I was talking about earlier, Donkey Kong Country 3. Now this one, I haven't played too much of, but I understand that it's got more of an open exploration feel between levels. I'm not sure if Captain King Cruel is in there or not, but haven't gotten that far. I think I gave it about 15 minutes and moved on. Alright, I had to snap this one up on eBay as well. Couldn't find it locally to save my ass, but yep, I got Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, and if you look carefully, this is the player's choice version. So this is after it sold X amount of copies or whatever, but I'm very proud of this one. I think my brother ended up inheriting the other copy, the original copy that we had, but that one was the first one that came out, the first rendition, and then this one would be the player's choice one. Still plays the same, there's no hidden Easter eggs or anything as far as I can tell, but awesome game, excellent music, excellent exploration, and set the tone for the later release of Link Between Worlds. Awesome fucking game. Just, the community, well, the majority of the community will be like, fucking Link to the Past, oh my god, it's fucking amazing. Sure is. Okay, I was going through my NES collection. I could have sworn that I still own Mystery Quest and all that, but apparently I don't. I guess I got rid of the shit games in NES that I didn't like. But I have not done that with SNES just yet. And here's the proof. This is Jim Power, but you couldn't tell because look how fucking small that is. I can't even know if I get that into focus. Yeah, Jim Power was a game that was discussed during one of the Retroholics podcasts. We were talking about graphics, and Benevolent Dickness of all people was like, check out fucking Jim Power, Lumpz, and I'm like, Jim Power. To me, graphics don't mean dick, okay? They never will. Gameplay is going to be what wins me every single time. That's why I like shit like that V game, VVVV or whatever the fuck it is. I like shit like that. If it plays nice, it plays nice. This does not play nice. This plays like a big fat fucking pile of shit, and you die in one hit, and the fucking enemies take like 20 hits to kill. The parallax background is super duper confusing. I tried like hell to like this game. It fucking sucks. I feel bad even giving it back to the fucking place I bought it from. Ugh. For free even. Alright, everyone knows this one. I'm going to be very careful if I ever remove that label off the top of it. But yeah, this is Super Mario World. Now, I first experienced Super Mario World at Toys R Us, of all places. They used to have the display case for SNES, and they had Super Mario World in there. And I played the fucking piss out of it. And I don't recall that there was any timer or anything else like that on there. They just leave the game running, and oh shit. I played it, and I played it, and I played it. And until a kid would be like, hey, you're fucking taking too long, and then I'd have to move. So, whatever. I ended up owning it someday. Got my own SNES, and I got Super Mario World. Sweet. Can't recommend it enough. Alright, now, for a lot of folks out there, I know in my NES video I was talking a lot about what the real Super Mario Bros. 2 is or whatever. For me, it's going to be the one they called Super Mario Bros. USA in Japan. But fuck it. This is where I first played Lost Levels. Super Mario All-Stars. Now, it was almost requisite when you had an SNES to get a hold of this game, so I'm glad that I did. I bought this copy local, about $15 before the price really started climbing up. Got Mario 1, 2, 3, and it's also got the Lost Levels. This is where a lot of folks in the United States first played Lost Levels, and then we all do our research and discovered, oh shit, the real Super Mario Bros. 2 that never left Japan is out there, and then now we get a chance to play it on that. So pretty fucking sweet. Now, this game is one that I had to own, and I would not own it until I owned the requisite accessory that goes along with it, which I'll be showing off in another video. Mario Paint. I actually own the mouse for this, so I'm awesome. I had to buy the mouse separate. I don't have the pad. But this game, if I understand correctly, had a big, huge box that came with it. And you can draw your own shit, everything else. Some of my original logos and channel art for my channel were made using Mario Paint, some of the earliest renditions. So that was pretty fucking sweet. I'm glad that I own this. Picked it up a couple of years ago at my local spot for about $5. Bought the mouse in Oregon when I was on a trip. I saw it for about $5. So total investment about $10 to own Mario Paint. Draw some old school retro graphics with that shit. It's pretty sweet. Now this one I believe I played during a challenge way back, but yeah, Tom and Jerry. I plan on picking this one up again here soon. It's like your standard fare platformer type. What's really confusing about a lot of these games that are from like franchises that a lot of kids watch, you know, cartoons, etc., the games that represent them are super insanely difficult, and Tom and Jerry is no exception. This game will fucking spank your ass hard. And if you think you're any sort of platform gamer, put about an hour into this one. You're gonna be humble, I promise you. But picked this one up for about $2 at my local area spot, and yeah, pretty nifty. That was about 4 or 5 years back. That was a while. But I don't think the price will be going up anytime soon, so if you want it, go get it. Probably get it dirt cheap. Okay, now my SNES collection is actually very humble, but the games that I do own for it, they resonate very deeply with me, and this is no exception. This is Populous. Now, Populous is a game that I played back when I was about 11, maybe 12. I used to camp out in the front yard with my neighbor and my brother, and we'd take our NES, our SNES, everything else, and Populous was one game I would continuously return to every summer. And it uses a password system, and the level progression is kind of strange in that you'll start at level 1, and depending on how you do, you might go to level 3 or 2 or whatever. But yeah, you get various different worlds. You play God, basically, over a tribe. It's good versus evil. And you have to use these commands to either raise land, cause havoc on the opposing tribe. But yeah, this one is fucking awesome. Peter Molyneux had his hand in this. I don't give a shit what social media's got to say about him. If he's being flaky, what the fuck ever. Populous rules. So check it out. This rendition's pretty awesome. Alright. Here's one that was recommended to me by the community at large. I still haven't really played a lot of it yet, but Pilot Wings. Now, anyone who grew up in the 90s will know that Flight Simulator was tearing shit up for years by that point, and was still wildly popular, and Pilot Wings would put you behind the wheel of multiple planes, try to land them, do stunts, etc. And then it's a grading system, so it's like really super-duper uppity in how you fucking perform everything. But I'm going to be putting my time into this one here very soon. Okay, so what's next? Oh, here we go. Donkey Kong Country. Now, you can tell by the label it's half destroyed on there. I paid about $15 for this game. I bought this one local, so that's pretty awesome. They keep the SNES games at that location under glass. That's VIP Game Store. And I'm glad that they do, because this one was pretty clean. I mean, the label's in good shape. The cartridge itself, I got to get that sticker residue off of it, but this game was tearing shit up. Okay, when the SNES was still hot, everything else, Nintendo Power was talking about this one, and it stayed at the top of the fucking ratings list for, I don't know, like a year, 2 years, something like that. Donkey Kong Country. If you have not played it, you are living under a rock, my friend. Get yourself educated. Now, this one is another bargain bin deal. I don't even know if I would like it or not. You know, normally when Dungeons & Dragons makes the transition to consoles, it's usually a fucking clusterfuck. But Eye of the Beholder. Now, the computer version of Eye of the Beholder is pretty badass. I've actually played it before, and there's a lot of RPG elements, first-person perspective, and I loved it. So I'm like, hey, you know, maybe the SNES version's not too bad. I don't know. I'm going to find out. I need to play it a little bit more and find out if it's my bag or not. But, yeah, Eye of the Beholder. Paid about $2 for it. It's in the bargain bin at VIP Game Store. That was pretty awesome. Okay, here's another eBay purchase. I could not find it decently priced local to save my ass. I paid above what I would normally pay for a game to own it. I could not own it, but yeah, here it is. Super Metroid. Now, what's interesting about Super Metroid is that there used to be a video store up the hill from where my brother and I used to live with our mom. And she'd go to the grocery store, everything, and then we'd go into this video store. And Super Metroid was our go-to game that we would rent for 2-3 months. I mean, and he'd even get, I remember my brother specifically getting pissed off if somebody would save over his save file, because of course when you're renting something like Super Metroid and you try to save your progress, you run the risk of somebody saving over that shit. And it happened almost every single time. And then finally, we ended up owning it. This is my copy, and this is one that I bought on eBay about a year ago by now. I think I bought it around the same time I got the whole Link to the Past, so that's pretty sweet. Alright, there's one that I covered in a review way back. The label's all beat to shit. Tasmania. Now, Tasmania is mediocre at best. It's your standard fare platformer thing. Some would say that Sunsoft was starting to tank around the SNES time. You know, they were dominating shit in the NES era, but then when SNES came out, they kind of went back to their humble roots or whatnot. Tasmania does have some things going for it. It's like an endless runner type thing. I believe it's like platforming elements as well, but not one of my favorites. I don't go rabid for it. Okay, here's one that I bought online as well. Label's not in best shape, but the game plays amazingly. Super Mario RPG. Now, this was another high-end game. The one trend that I've noticed, which is really weird, is that SNES games seem to be a lot more expensive than NES games. I'm not sure why, but Super Mario RPG loose will probably cost you about $45. I paid super high-end, more than I'd pay for a game. I paid $35 for this cartridge. And as you can tell, the label itself, you know, not in best of shape. What's interesting is I just watched the Did You Know Gaming, which I'll slap video on this game, which I'll slap below. They were talking about Paper Mario and where it came from, and it seems like Super Mario RPG, you know, Square had a hand in developing everything else like that, so that's cool and all, but there was issues with who owned the license, etc. So they came up with Paper Mario over there at Nintendo. But this is the one that Square had a hand in. I recommend playing this. It's like turn-based RPG with special moves, shit like that. Couldn't recommend it enough. Amazing music. Even the kids that I babysit love it. Okay, so this game is almost flawless, with one glaring flaw in that it has no save function. Jurassic Park. Now, came across Jurassic Park at Toys R Us. They swapped out the games one day, and they didn't have Super Mario World in there. They had Jurassic Park instead, because Jurassic Park was, I think it was out at that point. So they was like really banking on this shit. So I played Jurassic Park, and I'm like, hey, this is pretty awesome. And then I finally bought it years later, and I'm like, this game doesn't have a save function. What the fuck? Seriously. If you sit down and try to beat this game, it's probably going to take you about 4 or 5 hours. There are 0 save functions in this game. You hit reset or power, you're fucked. You are starting right back at the beginning. So, if you want to play this game, I would recommend doing emulation if you plan on saving. But, yeah, carve out about 4 or 5 hours out of your day to play that one if you want to beat it. Alright, now when somebody asks me, hey Lumpz, what would you recommend for Super Nintendo shmups? This would be the one I'd tell them about. Supernova! Now, also known as Darius Twin around the rest of the world, Supernova has some of the most amazing music and graphics that I've ever seen on a shmup. And that's Super Nintendo. I mean, the fucking thing literally booms with the power that this game brings. It's like, it's a horizontal, side-scrolling shoot-'em-up, and it's got it's got epic boss battles, it's got various enemies, the environs change, there's like a water world, there's like a mechanical world, a lava world. I mean, there's just so much to offer in Supernova. I cannot stress enough how awesome this game is, and even better, you could probably pick it up for like $5. Nobody wants this shit, and I don't know why. Supernova rules. Alright, getting down to the bottom of my pile here. So, Mike Johnson, I don't know who the fuck you are. You wrote all over my Kirbys Dream course, you fucker. But either way, I got Kirbys Dream course. This is golf, okay? This is like miniature golf on crack. You got wind machines, you got shit that's going to be bopping you around. But the bottom line is, you got to get a hole-in-one with Kirby, and it's kind of like checkerboard style. You got to hit all the enemies first before the hole even produced. So that's where a lot of the stick comes from. The game is very unique, and I actually played it a couple years back. I'll throw the link in the description as well to that video, but it plays pretty awesome. You can probably pick it up for like $5 too. It's a Kirby game. Kirby golf game. Alright, last but not least, I got here, I took the game out of it because I don't want to be showing off what I got just yet for Game Boy games. I got my Super Game Boy. Now, whenever I whip this thing out, it seems like the community gets lit up. They're like, damn, Lumpz, you got a Super Game Boy? I'm like, well, yeah, I paid about $20 for this at A1 Video Games, and I'm glad that I did, because I can't even see a Game Boy screen, like an original Game Boy screen, to save my ass now. Like, I can't see it. If it's not backlit or anything else, I'm just screwed. Or if I'm not emulating it, I'm screwed again. I do have a Game Boy emulator on my arcade, but the arcade took a shit on me about a month ago by now, so I gotta get a new power supply, whatever. But Super Game Boy is what's saving me right now. You can play the original gray box Game Boy games with this thing, but you cannot play Game Boy Color, the black cases, any of that shit. So that's kind of a bummer. If you do want to play your entire handheld library, you're probably better off getting the Game Boy player for the GameCube. I still don't own one myself. I do plan on it someday, but for now, this does the job. It allows me to play like Metroid 2 and shit like that. I can't even believe I almost forgot to include this. I do own one game complete in box, and it happens to be for Super Nintendo. What game, may you ask? Waha! That's King of the Monsters 2 for SNES. Complete in box. Yes, I still have the dust cover. I still have the manual. I still have the little fucking cardboard insert. Look at this shit. This game is like in flawless shape. That label is amazing. And yep, there it is. And here's the manual. So let me get this all back together and I'll tell you the story about King of the Monsters 2 and how I came across it. I paid about $15 for this kit, and I got it from a dude in Texas on eBay, and absolutely amazing shape. I mean, the game itself, the box is kind of getting a little worn out, so is the manual, as you can tell, but it's all there. And this is the only game that I own complete in box, and I'm very proud of it. Came across this game years and years and years ago with my little brother. We played the shit out of this co-op. and it has some of the most amazing sound effects, like dip and then and dip. But epic boss battles. There's a boss rush towards the end, and it's got one of the most disgusting final bosses you will ever meet. And it even has some of the worst, what would you call that? Like English? Yeah, it's pretty bad. There's like that strong and shit like that when you win. It's pretty amazing. I would recommend checking that one out. You might be able to pick this game up for super cheap. I don't know what it's going to be doing in the next 5 years. I bought this shit about 2 years ago. Well, I want to thank you all very much for tuning in for part 2 of my tour of the Clown Cave. Next up, I think I'll be talking about Sony PlayStation 1. We'll talk about those titles. And that was significant to me because Sony PlayStation is when I jumped ship from Nintendo, so a lot of the games for Sony PlayStation 1 hold a special place in my heart, and I cannot wait to share that one with you folks. I want to thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you in part 3. We talk about Sony PlayStation 1 games. Lumpz the Clown out.